and welcome to the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora, and with me today is Meghan Miller. Meghan, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Meghan, you work for the Hartley House, correct? First of all, can you explain what the Hartley House is and what you do there? What is the organization about?
Sure. So Hartley House is a nonprofit organization in Frederick County, and we serve victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, and human trafficking. And all of our services are free to anyone in Frederick County who is affected by those things.
All right. And that's Frederick County, Maryland. And
Frederick County, Maryland, yes.
So, right there, that what you're doing is well needed. As we know, hearing the news daily, you hear about these kind of things. It's a hefty work you're doing. What got you interested, or what got you the desire to do this? Because that's not something people are like, oh, I want to help victims of, like, most people are like, I want to go make $1 million, but you've chosen to volunteer, or not volunteer, but to give of yourself to help others. How did that start?
So I've been with the organization for about 5 years, and I really just have a passion for helping people, and specifically helping people who are in rough situations, vulnerable situations. I've actually been doing this kind of work for almost 15 years now. I started out with the city of Frederick case managing the homeless people and, outreaching at homeless camps and stuff like that. And then I got connected with Hartley House and kind of really found where I belong.
That is really awesome. Like, compared to like what I do, it's like you're actually helping lots of people. So the Hartley House, can you tell me, like, if someone were to want to help, like, obviously it's a non-for-profit, how would they give or help support your efforts there?
Yeah, so there's several ways you can. We have a few events that we host during the year that the community can get involved in. The one that we have actually coming up in October is called Walk a Mile in Their Shoes. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but basically it's a week-long thing. You can do it either in person or you can do it online, and you walk miles to raise awareness, for the services that we provide. There's also ways you can donate online, like through our website. You can connect with a local organization, because sometimes they come and do like volunteer days, to help out around the building. And then we also have volunteers that come in. You do have to take like a training that you have to take before you can volunteer, but you can volunteer like on our hotline for people that call in.
Okay, and they're calling in for help, and then obviously you guys get them where they need to go.
Yes, so depending, the hotline's 24 hours, 7 days a week, and you can call in if you just need support. You can call in if you're looking for resources. You can call in if you need housing, anything like that will help you and direct you. And if you need legal advice on your situation, we're there to help you and provide support and advocate for you the best we can.
So, for instance, if someone is in a situation that you guys want to, how could they, like, sometimes people don't even realize they're in a situation, like they're blinded to it. They don't really understand, but are there things you can, like, advice you could give to someone that they can, like, evaluate the situation they're in to see if what they're in is safe and healthy, or should they be seeking help? Like, what are some signs they should be? Do you know? Obviously you've been doing this 15 years, so.
Yeah, so that's tough, because a lot of times in a domestic violence situation, so to speak, there's a lot of control. There's a lot of manipulation, and physical abuse, as well as emotional, verbal. So it's hard to tell, but we just try to make as much awareness as we can, as far as having our hotline 24/7, being out in the community at different community events so people can know kind of what we do. And really, if someone calls in, even if they're just questioning, if they're not even sure if they're in that type of relationship, we have trained crisis workers that can kind of help them through those signs and allow them to see that there are options available,
Mhm.
for them. And unfortunately, the sad thing is that if someone is caught in that kind of situation, it can take several times, several incidents to
Mhm.
occur for them to actually to either reach out for help or to actually leave that situation. So really it's just providing the support, and we do a lot of like safety planning, and just so that they know we're here.
Mhm.
We try to go off of the empowerment model, so we don't want to force anybody, to leave or to change their situation, but we certainly want to give them the tools so that they feel empowered enough when they're ready that they can
Okay.
leave.
Yeah. So, like the situations that occur, like a lot of times I know victims think it's their fault for what's happening because obviously the manipulator kind of puts the
Mhm.
blame on them. Um, so when they call you, obviously, what is the hotline? Or are you allowed? Could you give that out for people? And
Yeah,
if someone is not in the Maryland area, would the Hartley House be able to help them find a place in their area that they
ab-
could?
yep, absolutely. So our hotline it's on our website. I can give it to you.
Mhm.
Um, 301. And if you're not from Frederick County and you call our hotline, you will still be connected to either another DV agency in a different county or a different state. We have those resources available to provide people.
Okay, man. Yeah, I was curious about that since I know you're in the Maryland area. So
Yeah.
what as you've done this, so what have you found to be one of the most difficult things in dealing with what you do? Like that you found is something that's difficult yet rewarding at the same time for you.
So it's really hard, because of the amount of manipulation and sometimes the abuse that we do see. It's hard when you feel like you're not like getting through to someone, so to
Mhm.
speak, and you feel like you're just not able to help them because they're not ready or they can't see it, or whatever the case may be. But you have to remember like the little victories, and the little victories is getting that person actually called in.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a huge step in itself. So it's just kind of remembering that you're not always going to save someone at your first contact, but it's almost like building that rapport so that
Yeah.
they trust you and that they have confidence, and they'll keep calling back if and when they need.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like building almost like a friendship in a sense that
Hmm.
obviously you don't meet someone for the first time and then go help them move. It takes a few times and of talking, then you can say, "Can I use your truck and you to help me move?" And
Right.
and this is kind of the same situation where they may talk the first time, maybe second, third, and fourth time, then they're finally ready to trust you because obviously
Hmm.
they've been manipulated. So that whole trust is a hard thing to do because you know they've trusted this person and got them into this situation and now they're stuck.
Definitely. Yeah. So it is. It's all about building that rapport and that relationship. And I'm actually in the residential side of it.
Hmm.
So I work with our clients who are starting out in our emergency shelter, which is a 45-day program, and that's for people who are fleeing a unsafe situation, like they're in immediate physical danger. So throughout their 45 days, I work with them and connect them to as many resources as possible and help them find housing outside of the emergency situation in the shelter.
All
So
right. So you guys work you have a shelter there they can go to and then I'm assuming do you help them find jobs so that they can get out of like being dependent on because a lot of times I think the manipulator makes them dependent on them and they have to get out of that. And
Absolutely. Financial dependency is one of the things that they struggle with. So when they come to us, we try to give them, again, it's their plan, but we try to see like what their goals are. And if it's employment, then we provide them with the resources and, with different employment opportunities, um, whether it's connecting them to any medical needs that they may have, any kind of financial literacy and budgeting, housing, all of that. So
I mean, it's great that we have stuff like that. So unfortunately, we need things like this out there, and it's great that
mhm.
to know about them. And I think a lot of people don't even realize, like, there could be people listening now that don't realize one that they're in an abusive situation, and two that there is a way out. Like, I think a lot of times they
Yes.
don't realize that, and they're afraid. Like, I think there's a fear of failure a lot of
Yeah.
times also, besides being manipulated. They're afraid that they're in this marriage or this situation, maybe they've been in multiple ones before, and they're just like, I
Mhm.
can't screw up again, my family, this, that. And I
Right.
think we have to help people realize that they're more valuable than they think they are, and they don't put
Mhm.
the value on themselves. I think you guys through this help empower them, like you said,
Yeah.
help them see their worth. And
Absolutely. And it can be interesting when you see someone who has been almost completely like isolated
mhm,
because of the relationship that they're in, and then to see them come into shelter and how kind of they start out versus at the end when it just seems like they're flourishing, and
yeah.
it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I bet that's like an amazing transformation to see that over time.
Hmm.
Like, do you have a story without revealing who they are, that one that you just think about that really helps you think that what I'm doing was really worth it? Is there a particular story you have that you recall?
So there, you know, without giving away too much detail, there is
Yes.
a lot of stories actually that I
Mhm.
can think of. And most recently, like the job that I'm in, I've placed this year about 10 families into permanent housing, um, from the shelter, coming from our shelter program. So just to see that, to see where they were before they came in, to see, coming into the emergency shelter, and then, you know, um, into their permanent housing. I just had one of my clients actually just renew her lease
Oh
for
wow.
another year. So that's really important, and she's thriving. And there's also things, people that struggle with, because it's not just the violence or like the abuse, it's also mental health that comes with it. It's addiction.
Mhm.
So to see some of the victories that those kind of clients have experienced is really cool
Yeah.
as well, and to see them succeed and be happy and healthy.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, right there, that would be rewarding to see these people, like you said, get out of these situations that they've gotten stuck in. Um, when you started doing this, well, obviously, what did you study in school to get to where you are? Because you said you've been doing this 15 years. So, like, were you wanting to do this kind of stuff even before you did it, or were you, when you went studying for school, what were you studying, and then did was it always this, or was it just it evolved to this?
It was really never this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In school, I actually studied childcare,
Mhm.
and I also dived in a little bit to like journalism and communications. Um, I ended up starting at the youth center for the city of Frederick,
Mhm.
um, with my schooling. And then when that shut down and became the Boys and Girls Club is when I was transferred to the Community Action Agency that, help has the soup kitchen, and they have a shelter and a clinic, and lots of services. So I kind of just fell into it.
Okay.
And then as it, I started out in the food bank, then I was case managing, and then, the opportunity at Hartley House came along. So it's just kind of something that once I was in there, it just felt right.
Mhm.
And it felt like, like this is where I'm supposed to be. So
It was like your calling, like you felt like this is what I was made to do. and
Hmm.
now you're doing what you feel your purpose is. And
Absolutely.
I mean, it's great. That's one thing that a lot of times people don't ever find their purpose. They go to school. Like you said, you went to school for something completely different, and you kind of found your purpose. And some people, sadly, don't ever find their purpose. They're like always trying to find it. But that's amazing that you kind of like almost you were like guided there. You
Hmm.
found your way.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a crazy story how I got connected with Hartley House. I, because of the agency that I worked for prior to them, we were kind of connected already to Hartley
Mhm.
House because sometimes we would refer, people that we would see to them. And so my boss in particular, I actually had an email, conversations with for several years back and forth, just different things over the years. And then I never met her in person. And then one day by chance we met in person and it happened to be like that there was this opening and it was just kind of fate took it from there.
Yeah,
So
that's all. That's wonderful. I love stories like that where the puzzle pieces come together and it
uh-huh.
like goes on. So
Yeah.
what you're in the spot where you feel you belong. Where do you hope to see things go for you from here in at the Hartley House? What are your hopes for the Hartley
Oh,
House itself?
yeah. And, the Hartley House just continues to grow. They continue to get community support and different funders and grants and everything. And it's really great to see because unfortunately there is that need.
Mhm,
It sucks to say that we're growing,
mhm,
but we need to so we can help these people. And I'd like to see, I mean, my boss and I'm like I said in the residential department, and just to continue to not only grow our shelter, but to grow our residential services as far as like our rental assistance that we can provide short term and one time, just so we can reach as many people as possible and just help them to be able to be independent
mhm.
and give them those tools and not just you know a one time thing, like where we're able to help them for several months to kind of guide them through this process. So
Mhm. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of them need that more than like, I mean, some people may need more than the 45 days. They may need a year of help to get through it. And
exactly. And it's not just, what I do in residential, it's the counseling, it's the
mhm,
crisis, hotline, it's legal help. It's a whole list of things that we're able to provide and in one spot.
mhm.
It's not like they have to go to several different agencies for this. It's in
Yeah,
one area. So it makes it easier.
yeah, it cuts down on the bureaucracy that oftentimes slows things down.
Yes,
So, I was,
definitely.
I was curious, and now obviously you work with other institutions. Like, are the police somehow involved as well? Like you said, where like if they get from your place and then they get to a new place, are the police made aware of like their situation? So when they're in this new area, they kind of know that if they call and say, "Hey, so and so's coming to my house," they kind of know more of it. It's like a red alert. Because I know situations like if they, I'm assuming when they're at the housing you have, there's protection, people
Mhm.
can't get to them. But once they get out, sometimes these individuals that have been abusive still have a vendetta, and they're do you how do you guys deal with
So,
that?
right. So Frederick County is great where there are between law enforcement, the hospital, social services, family partnership, child advocacy center. We're all connected
Mhm,
and meet pretty regularly. So we know kind of the situations that are happening and you know if law enforcement's involved, they do well. All of these agencies actually have the ability to do what's called a lethality screen.
mhm,
So if there is an incident, a DV incident, police automatically would do a lethality screen. And what that is, it's like 11 or 12 questions, and it basically assesses their lethality. And it's yes or no answers. And then that gets sent to us directly. And we have a whole outreach program that'll reach out to the person if they screen in. in high danger.
All right.
And then that's how they get connected to us, like through the police. And then the hospital can also complete these, as well as, DSS and all of
Oh,
that. So
oh, that I mean, it's really nice to know that you guys exist and are out there helping people. And uh, again, I want people to know how they can help you. Like, what is the website that they can, if they want to give, or of like financially or any kind of means? Where would they go to do that?
so hartleyhouse.org
Hardly House.
is our website, and it lists all of our services, how you can donate, how you can volunteer, upcoming events, everything. It even
Is
gives
that?
you some, like,
I was gonna ask, is that spelled like the heart, HEART
yes,
LE
HEARTLY house
house.com? Okay, or .org.
.org.
Yes. All right. I just want to make sure because I know there's sometimes it could.
Yeah.
So was that named after someone, or do you know?
Actually, no, I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think it was named after someone.
All right.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's been Hartley House has been around for like over 35 years.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
they've been helping out.
Yeah.
So if there's any kind of advice you would give someone in a situation that may not be safe, what is one kind of advice you would give them right away?
Well, the first thing, if they're not feeling safe, if they actually feel like they're in danger, is to call 911.
All right.
That is first and foremost. Obviously, if you're feeling like maybe a situation is escalating, or that you're not safe in your home, always make sure that your phone is charged. Make sure you pack like a small bag that kind of has at least like one pair of clothes, and important documentation, because that's a lot of times you don't have a lot of time to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you forget your driver's license or your social security card or birth, whatever that you might need, once you're trying to enroll in other services or start over.
Mm-hmm.
So we encourage people to keep their cell phone charged, to pack a bag. If there is a family member or friend that they can kind of confide in,
Mm-hmm.
so that that person knows kind of what's going on, or that, if I call you and say like a code word, this means, I'm in trouble, like help. And yeah. And then always our hotline is there. And our hotline staff are trained to help you to build safety plans.
Okay. So if they're, like you said, they call multiple times, they could kind of, the first call could be like, okay, you need to get this together,
Mhm.
and then work your way on. Hopefully they follow what they're being advised to do.
Right.
Well, I know you are busy and I don't want to keep you, but I thank you for coming on. And I really think this is a great thing that you are doing, and that needs to be out there. And I'm glad to know it does exist. Although, like I said, I am sad that it has to, but it's a great thing. And that people like you exist that are willing to do this, because like I said, there's many out there that we don't even think about. Unfortunately, I myself, I just don't think about these things because I don't deal with them on the daily. But every now and then I'll see the news and I'll hear something. I'm like, oh, that's awful. But then hearing your side of it, knowing you're out there, it gives me kind of like hope for humanity, that we have people like you out there. So
yeah, well, thank you for having me. And it is great to use these different outlets to kind of spread awareness. So
yeah. And hopefully if there's someone out there that does need help, they'll go to hartleyhouse.org and seek the help they need. And if you are in that situation, please go quickly and take care of it, because you're far too valuable to be mishandled the way you are, or in the situation you're in. People need to realize their value is much higher than what the person they're with says they are, or what they even think of themselves. That's, we're all created for a purpose, and we can't be devalued in that way.
So, absolutely.
Again, thank you. And again, those of you who are listening, thank you for listening and stopping by. And as always, stay safe and keep searching.